Welcome everyone to another Probus talk. Following up such an incredible presentation in our November meeting, that was the most participation we have ever seen to a full room. So we are so excited to have with us again by popular demand, Marlane Doss, attorney and founder of Doss Law, who is following up on her presentation, Your Guide to Wills and Estate Planning. Welcome, Marlene.
Thank you, Carolina. Thank you so much. It was such a pleasure being there. What a great crowd.
Yeah, you know what? Honestly, you woke them up. You woke the crowd up. Not that, everybody enjoys. And I guess there was just such a connection to the topic,
Mm.
right? Like people kept coming asking me questions afterwards, and it's like, no, you need to ask Marlene. The one point that everybody kept asking, I think when you made the comment about the RRSPs and the tax implication, the same with the
Mhm.
cottage, I think that got everyone by surprise. Do
Yes.
you want to start,
Sure.
commenting a little bit more on that? And if
Yes.
you wonder what that QR code is on the side, that is a direct link to Marlene's website and how to find her and how to continue your conversation with her. Sorry, go ahead, Marlene.
No, my pleasure. Thank you for that. So basically, I think people don't really understand what their assets are. They say, "Oh, I did my will and I did my power of attorney," and then I say, "Okay, did you talk about taxes?" And often the answer is no, or I did it by myself, or just briefly, but it didn't really come up, right? So with the RSPs and cottages and anything that's not your primary residence, really any real estate investments after that, there are tax implications. So with RSPs, for instance, if you have some when you pass away, it's as if you've sold everything. The balance that's in your RSP was suddenly sold, and now it gets added to your income tax.
So it
So,
doesn't transfer. So if you have, for ease of math,
so yes.
$100,000 in RSPs,
Hmm.
it doesn't transfer as $100,000 from RSP account to RSP account like a gift.
Okay, so it rolls over to a spouse. Okay, so if you're married, then yes, your RSP will roll over to the spouse's account, and no taxes will be
As
triggered.
a gift.
Okay?
Yeah, like a straight
It's a
transfer.
rollover. It's not a
Okay.
gift, it's a rollover. So what
Okay.
it means is it gets transferred to their RSP, but it doesn't trigger
Consolidated.
taxes
Yeah.
on the way in. Okay.
Okay.
Otherwise, after the spouse, it's deemed disposed, which means it's considered sold. So what
Ah,
does
so
that
it's
mean?
when it goes to your
Yes. So when
kids.
it goes to your kids or to anybody else, even if you can still name a beneficiary on it, right? And the
Sure. Yeah.
beneficiary will get it. Okay.
Mhm.
The beneficiary will get it. So if you have $100,000, you name a beneficiary, the beneficiary is going to receive $100,000 in from your RSP. Okay. However, your estate is still left holding the bag for the taxes, right? So if it's considered sold when you pass away, $100,000 was sold and you have a gain of 100,000, you have and $100,000 that you're adding to your
Income, really,
income, pardon?
to your income.
It's added
For
to
the
your income
children.
tax
Yeah.
return. It's considered income in your income tax return. Now, if you were previously paying like no taxes, right now this is going to bump you up to a very high tax bracket, if not the highest one, right? So suddenly, instead of they're taking 100,000 from the RSP, but now your estate is left with over $50,000 in taxes that it has to pay that people often don't realize is going to have to be paid.
So at $100,000, you may think, okay, 50,000, yes, things, but it's 50,000. But sometimes people are inheriting $500,000,
Correct?
$1 million in RSPs. Suddenly losing $500,000 to taxes.
Yes.
It's crazy.
It is. It's a lot. And this is why you need to speak with lawyers. You need to have a financial advisor. The sooner the better, so that if you are in this situation where that could end up being the result for you, there's planning that can be put into place. Either you're starting to draw more from the RSPs or you're making a charitable contribution at some point and we structure it properly, whether it's in the estate or whatever it is, that'll offset some of that, right? Because as we said, we all have to pay our taxes. We don't
Yeah.
necessarily need to pay more than is necessary. We can still use some of that to spread wealth and make charitable donations or do something that you and your family would be proud of, right?
If
Um,
that alone doesn't make you connect with
mm.
Marlene, like that just, it was a game changer, for me and for a lot of people in the audience as well.
Yes.
So let's talk about the cottage and the other properties.
Yes, so cottage is anything. Okay, so your primary residence, you get a capital gains exemption on it, right? So if I bought my home for $100,000 and I passed away and it was worth $1 million, that $900,000, it's okay because I have my primary residence exemption. I'm not paying taxes on that. But
Mhm.
anything outside of the primary residence comes with the tax bill, right? So the
Okay,
gain on that.
let's
So if you have a
before,
cottage,
yeah,
yeah.
but before we go,
Hmm.
okay, so you gotta be simple with us.
Yes.
So I have a primary residence
Yeah.
in a cottage, and I give both properties to my son as his inheritance, as legacy.
Right.
My private residence, how does that get taxed when he inherits it, and how is the cottage taxed
Right.
as he inherits it?
Okay, so both of them will be subject to the estate administration tax, the 1.5% that we said is in Ontario. Okay, so
Okay.
we calculate the overall value of them. If there's mortgages, we deduct it. And then the net value of both of them would be 1.5% would go when you're filing to become the trustee of the estate. That's the one thing. Okay, now when it comes to the capital gains, so the growth on the value of the properties from when you bought them, this is what we're talking about. Okay, with your primary residence, whatever that growth is, there's no additional tax on it because there's an exemption under the Income Tax Act. Okay.
Under the primary residence.
Under your primary residence. Now,
Okay.
for the cottage, now this is your secondary residence and
Mhm.
anything above that, right?
Mm.
If I bought the cottage at $100,000 and now it's $1 million, that's a growth of $900,000 in value, right? Again, when I die, if I died tomorrow, that growth is so the cottage is considered sold. It's deemed
Oh, yeah.
disposed, even though I haven't sold it.
Mhm.
Okay. And the fair market value of $1 million is what we're looking at. So now that $900,000 growth, okay, half of that, you take half of it. So 450,000 now is going to be added to the tax bills, to the tax return that needs to be filed,
So that
right?
means that some people may have to actually sell the cottage in order to pay the tax.
Yes, that's right. If there isn't sufficient life insurance, if there isn't a plan in place or something else that's going to
Oh,
offset that tax, yes. If the plan was to keep the cottage in the family for 100 years, 200 years, or indefinitely, they may not be able to afford it just because of that tax bill, right?
okay. This is two. Okay, my
Mhm.
head's hurting. Not really, but
Yes.
between so much math in a in a Probus talk right now,
Yeah.
the fact that how is it that this is not clearly understood by more people? Which
Well,
takes me to the next question. What surprises you the most about, when we were at the Probus talk in November? Sorry, I realized that
mhm.
was the question and then I continued to talk. But anyways, stay with me, everybody. Um, on the November presentation that you did live,
Mhm.
you asked, by the way, I love how interactive it was, but you asked how many people here have a will? And honestly, we were there. So like 90% of the people raised their hand.
Yes.
And then they said, what was the other question you asked?
And then I asked them how many of them had it up to date, and a few hands fell
Yeah.
down, which
Yeah,
was
but it was
expected,
still like
but it was
80%,
still,
right?
yes. Yes.
So everybody at the time, I don't know, I'm just, being cheeky. Everybody kind of like, oh, we got this, right? We got this.
Mhm.
And then you began to talk. And then all of a sudden you could see like, whoa, right? Like the hands going up for questions. What surprises you the most when you do this live presentation? Because you're very on demand. Like every time I speak to you, you're like, I'm speaking here, I'm speaking there. Um, what surprises you the most?
I think people don't understand what actual estate planning is. They think it's just a document which, yes, that's part of it, the will and the powers of attorneys. And sometimes they don't even understand the difference between them. And I think that's what they decide is estate planning, saying who's going to be in charge. But that's not estate planning as far as I'm concerned, right? Like estate planning, I don't think you can do estate planning without talking about
Like
taxes.
super rich. And by our conversation, actually, the super rich are the people that can almost afford not to have state plan because they'll have the resources to cover the tax bills and to all the stuff, right? All the surprises. It's actually your regular person that may think they don't have anything to plan or anything to strategize.
Yes.
We're the ones that need it the most.
That's right. That's the other thing. A lot of people think I don't have anything. I don't really need, my stuff is simple. It's not complex. I don't need a plan, right? Like that lady that showed up in the news not too long ago that, was dumping everything into her RRSPs, planning to pass it on to her kids. And she worked hard her whole life, in whatever job, and was so proud that she saved 500, 600,000. And then her family was shocked to know that half of that was going into taxes.
And I'm sure she sacrificed a lot.
Yes.
Save that
She
money.
probably thought, I don't have anything and I have beneficiaries on my RSPs. My job is done, right? People don't understand their assets. Yeah. That's the biggest problem, I think.
There's a bank, and I forget which one. That says,
sorry, what did you say?
There's a bank's motto or slogan or something that says, "You're richer than you think."
Yes. Yes.
And it works for their marketing, but it's actually true. Yes. And something else that was blowing my mind was the fact that if somebody from another place in the world would hear our examples, like you bought a cottage for 100,000, it's now worth $1 million, right? Or a home, they may think us ungenuine. The reality is that those are the numbers we are speaking about for most of us that are Gen X and boomers.
Yes.
Right? Like we bought, homes, I don't know, 15, 20, 30 years ago for like 100, 200,000. At 500,000, you could buy a mansion, or like a big home. Yes. And those homes are now in the millions. So
millions. I was going to say 1 million is actually very conservative when we're talking about cottages. We're just using simple numbers. So
the game has changed.
Yes.
We're speaking big dollars now.
Yeah.
And when you're passing those assets to the people that you love, don't pass the burden.
Correct. Yes.
Is like,
you don't give away more than you need to the CRA. Like that for me is,
Yeah.
I mean, yes, we need to, and yes, okay, there's use for taxes and stuff like that. But also when you're working so hard and you're really, you're passionate about your legacy and your family and stuff, there's better uses than.
Well, and not only that, your family may erroneously be counting on these, right? Like if you're in a culture that is open, I happen to be of the Latin Hispanic persuasion, which we're very open about who's inheriting what and what thing, everybody knows the will. There's no secret in it. Your family may be counting on an inheritance that is only worth 50% without a plan. Yes. Simple as that.
Yep. Yes.
Wow. Marlene, as I said, here is her QR code to her website. Book an appointment, book a discovery call. She is a trusted advisor. Trusted, which that's another thing. Like you may meet people that tell you, oh, you don't need these or you need that. Or Marlene and I are colleagues, as we explained during the meeting, full disclosure. Marlene and I collaborate championing women and championing, the vulnerable throughout the greater Toronto area and globally, actually. But she's a trusted advisor. So she's the person that you need to call. Thank you, Marlene. Much appreciated. So much, and we'll put links and whatever else Marlene's got to offer, but take us up on just, she's one scan away. So talk soon. Until next time.
Bye.